everyone, it's Sasha here and Art Fishler School channel. So today we're gonna paint this beautiful cup of tea with some lavender flowers. And the sketch you can download by the link I'll show in the description. That's the link on my Patreon, and you can support me if you enjoy my videos and if you would like to have my feedback and some prints from me. So let's start. First thing we will do is just wet our paper a little bit with the brush. Only water first, and please keep the balance. So watercolor is all about balance between water and color. And first color I'm gonna use is ultramarine. You can see that I'm using it quite often, so I don't have a lot. And first we will do just some of the shadows on fabric. For this I'm mixing purple color, and it doesn't have to be too bright purple. That's why I'm mixing it by myself. I never take it from like ready purple. So I'm mixing ultramarine, some of the any shade of pink color. It can be cadmium red or something like that. And I add a little bit of burnt sienna, but again can be any other brown color or even yellow ochre. It gives us this not really bright purple, but let's say tasty purple. Nice one. And first layer is actually very light, but please don't forget that when you're using watercolor, when it dries, it always gets even lighter. So especially if we are painting on the wet paper, it's called wet on wet, it gets even a little bit more light than we expected. Under the plate we're also building the shadow, and we're letting it dry a little bit, and just step by step adding some more and more purple where you feel it needs to be. So now you can see that it's quite very bright, yeah? And I'll put some brown to another place and adding step by step to mix the right colors. And just adding some more shadows. Okay, so the next step we will do is our tea, and for this I'm gonna mix some of the golden or any orange color. And first I'll do the middle of the tea with this color. I think that medium brush will be best for this, so this is like size 6 or 5 can be. I'm adding a little bit more of red color into my orange and just doing outlines around the flowers and a little bit of reflections inside of the cup from this tea. So you can see that before I did already the shadows on the side of the cup, and now I'm just adding a little bit reflections from the tea. And now around the flowers I'd like to go a little bit more dark. So this is a black tea actually, but if you will put your black tea in the white cup, you will see that it looks quite reddish and more like orange. So step by step I'm adding to my red and orange color a little bit of brown. It's burnt umber, or actually your base color can be burnt sienna. And around the flowers I'm just doing the outlines a little bit more intensive, because in the middle there is more deepness in the cup, so we need to put a little bit more color. Also on the sides a little bit more, and on this tea, which is goes from the pot, I'm also using some of ultramarine mixed with the burnt umber to show the reflections from the fabric on this. And now we will do some of the tea inside the pot using just the same colors. I'm making it on wet, so you can see how my color goes to the sides, and adding some shadows with the burnt umber. Just some simple lines actually. And if you're making your tea bright with using a lot of red color, it looks like light goes inside this pot, looking very good. And now, if your tea is already dry, tea inside the cup, you can now started to paint the flowers inside. So here I'm gonna use some ultramarine and again some pink color. You can play with colors here, you can add more pink or you can add less pink, but please pay attention that your colors have to be really bright here, so no need to add any brown. It's okay to have the bright flowers, and it will give us beautiful contrast between of the flowers color and tea colors. So orange and purple is actually blue and orange is opposite colors, so they're making beautiful contrast and making each other even more bright and more interesting. Here I'm making some flowers more purple, some of them more light, some of them more blue, but it's not sky blue, right? You can see that this is ultramarine. I mean those two flowers in the middle. And this is still first layer. Shadows we will add later. With the same color we can also make some shadows on the cup, and all the shadows will be making by those ultramarine plus a little bit of pink plus maybe somewhere a little bit of brown. One more thing you need to pay attention on is tone. So not only colors giving us the feeling of natural, of realistic painting, but also tones is very important thing to make it looking realistic, to make the form, to build the form, you know, to build the shadows, to understand the depth of painting. So in watercolor I'm always adding some shadows a little bit more and more every step and every layer I'm doing. Usually in watercolor we have around 3 layers, can be even a little bit more, and this is very important to have specific watercolor paper. It can be any brand, it can be cold pressed or hot pressed, but I prefer cold pressed, and just the thing is have to be paper for watercolor. The next thing, we need to make the outline for the cup, but please be careful with this line. It has to be very accurate. And here it will help us to pop up our golden line on the end. So now I'm just blending it down a little bit with some water. You can see that there is actually not much colors I'm using, right? But I'm just playing with the tones. So now I'm again mixed my favorite purple. It's again ultramarine plus some pink. And now I'm shading my flowers. So on some of the sides it will go a little bit more color. I'd like to make this line a little bit more dark also, because always between of the bright light, which is on top, and shadow on the side, has to be the biggest contrast. So I'm making the line a little bit darker, and it will make our light even brighter and lighter. And those flowers inside the plate has to be much more dark than the flowers inside the cup, because those are in the shadow. So here, just step by step, I'm working with the flowers. On the left side, they're a little bit more pinky. But again, the colors of the flowers could be up to you. You can make them more pink or more purple. Is fine to play with this. Now I'm still using this medium brush, and the next step is I'm gonna make my tea a little bit brighter. So guys, you can see that now I'm actually finished all the main things. My first layer is done, and now we just need to focus on making tones more interesting and add some more contrast in our painting. So I'd like to add a little bit more colors inside the tea. I'd like to make it a little bit more shiny, and as I mentioned before, the black tea is actually not black and not red, right? But it's usually brown, like reddish brown color. But if the bright sun goes inside your cup, it looks a little bit more red. And only around the flowers I'll add some more shadows with the dark brown. So now I'll just be adding some more shadows and some more details to the painting. You can see that I made already quite good contrast on the pot, inside the pot, and inside the cup with the flowers. But I'd like to make my shadows more deep. I'd like to make my background and form of the cup and plate more interesting, more contrasting. So you will see now, step by step, I'll be adding some more colors, and it looks now even more like black. You can see it, right? So this is again almost black color, but it was mixed ultramarine plus red color, because usually in classic art we never use in black color. We cannot find it in real life because black objects always take in some reflections from the objects surrounding them, so better to mix your own kind of black. I'm sorry guys, there is some sun which changed the light a little bit, but no worries about it. I'll make it now better for you. Yeah, like this. And so just let's continue. So now my shadows are more and more deep, and some of the gold colors, gold is actually usually just a contrast between yellow ochre and very dark brown. It's usually burnt umber, so it's just something very contrasting with these colors. You just make in one line very bright, after you let it dry, and after you make in another line very dark, and they doesn't have to be blended with each other. That's how we make in gold. Actually, also in some of the watercolors you can find the gold color, but I don't recommend you to use it, especially if you're just learning, because you will never learn if you will use just gold color. And golden colors are actually just about glitter, but the base is kind of yellow brown. Okay, so now we're just making our shadows even more and more deep, our details more clear, more careful. And the last thing I would like to add to this picture is black outlining. So for this I'm using my black pen, but it's up to you if you would like to use it or not. We can just skip this part and you can stop right there. So basically I'm just outlining everywhere where I used my pencil before, and where is our shadow, so we can do it even more intensive. And some of the details which I miss or just don't want to do with the colors, I also can now make them with a black pen. This is more illustrational style. It will make more contrast on our picture, and if you want to keep it as just a watercolor style, we can skip this part. But I prefer to do this. It looks much more interesting, in my opinion. And actually it's not classic realistic style, it's a little bit more sketchy and funny. Thank you guys so much for being with me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that my channel is very useful for you if you are learning watercolors or drawing. I like to hear something from you, to suggest me which themes you are interested more in the future, so please don't forget about comments and to put your opinion over there. And now I'm just adding a little bit of highlights with white gouache. It's more on tea, it's just the reflections from the sun and around the flowers a little bit. Also guys, please download the line art of this picture, because honestly that was the hardest thing to do, is drawing this. So you can just download by the link and you can see the reference also. And if you want to, you can support me on my Patreon channel, and I'll support you by giving my feedback and by giving some of my suggestions. Guys, and please also don't forget to subscribe on my channel so you will not miss my paintings. That's it. Thank you so much one more time for being with me. It's Sasha here, and I hope to see you on my next videos. Bye bye!